have a few, I have a few pointers for the speakers. Each of the speakers, we have 5 speakers for this afternoon. So each of the speaker is requested to speak for 15 minutes, please, and leave 5 minutes for question and answers. And we also have the technical person in the room to remind us that when the time in 20 minutes is up for each speaker. So without further ado, I do welcome the first speaker, Dr. Wayan, for his presentation. Thank you. Over to you.
Good afternoon. Is the session chair for room 3 already here?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw Probina. Hi, Probina. How are you?
Yes, and sorry, I did introduce you just now.
I see.
Maybe it was on mute.
Okay, no worries. I just dropping into the different room just to check everything is okay.
Yes.
The technical team is here. So just a quick one. We will start. You might want to have your briefing with your presenter, and then you can start anytime soon, Probina.
Yes, I already briefed the presenters. I've already briefed the presenters.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much. I'll leave it to your good hand. Thank you, Probina.
Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey. Yeah, thank you. So can we have the first speaker, please? Thanks.
I believe our first speaker is not here yet, not in this room yet.
Okay, the first speaker. So we'll just give a couple of minutes because it's just 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So let's wait for the first speaker to join. Thank you. I probably, I can see well, I saw the title slide and I thought, he was in.
Yeah, I guess
Good afternoon. Is Dr. Wayan Raspandi in the room yet?
no, not yet.
Hello and good afternoon. My apologies. So to the technical committee, should we go with the second speaker yet, or should we wait?
I believe we can give speaker till 2:05.
All right, then I will invite the second speaker. Just, yeah. So while waiting for the first speaker to join, I think we will move over to the second speaker for the session, who is Misna Aryani from the Balikpapan University, Indonesia, with her paper, Determinants of Job Satisfaction. So Dr. Misna, are you there? And are you able to join?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. So the session is yours.
Thank you very much, Pravina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, all. First of all, thank you for giving me permission to introduce myself. My name is Misna Aryani, and you can call me Misna. I am from Balikpapan University. Balikpapan City is Kalimantan, Indonesia. On this occasion, I would like to present the result of my research together Raden Roro Hesti Mugiasti. Our research on job satisfaction of 98 employees PT Bukaka Teknik Utama Balikpapan branch. Seen from work environment communication relationship, organizational culture, organizational commitment. Because today it is very prominent features to determine the job satisfaction of employee. Considering that employee are the company's asset and the pioneers.
The meeting is scheduled for 22nd July. Sekarang ya Pak ya?
Satisfaction.
Bukan, yang itu hari pertama, hari yang kedua.
Considering that employees are the company's asset and the pioneers of the company's success, the company should pay more attention to employees' satisfaction guarantee. Research and development, the determinants of employer job satisfaction is well thought of to be one of the main concerns regarding of the government and private sector human resource management. A discussion of job satisfaction has to be preceded by affirmation that the matter of job satisfaction is a straightforward matter. It's within the essence of the idea and within the which mean of the analysis. As a result of satisfaction has varied connotation. Job satisfaction may be a pleasant emotional angle and loves
Hello, I'm Ruspendi.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Isfandi, you will be going, Dr. Isfandi, you will be speaking the second speaker. As the second
My
speaker
voice is here, but you are not. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
How are you today? I'm sorry I was late to join this meeting.
Hello, Dr. Isfandi, you will be going
Yes,
second.
correct. I'm
Because
Ruspendi.
Yes, can you please hold on? Because we have the second speaker has already started presenting. So you will go
Great.
second. Thank you.
Thank you very
will be
much.
the next. Thank you.
Okay,
And please
thank you.
mute.
Thank you, Professor Bina.
Thank you.
Next, please. Next, please. Okay. This study raises the issue of the influence of organizational. The study of determinants of employer job satisfaction is considered as one of the main concerns of human resource management in government and private agencies instance. The same research is Eliana, Balu, Dimitros Belias, Huma, Jack, dan Salimon. Next. Next, please. Yeah. For the literature review, I use culture organization. We have theory from Robin Indarmawan, can be measured from the dimension of organizational culture as follow: innovation and risk-taking, attention to detail, research. And my hypothesis, the first is organizational culture features a positive impact on job satisfaction. Second, work environment features a positive impact on job satisfaction. Third, organization commitment feature a positive impact on job satisfaction. And fourth, organization culture, work environment, and organization commitment have a positive impact. Next. Next, please. I'm so sorry, I forgot to change methodology. And finding for 98 respondent, we have like this. Next. My research finding like this in this table analysis of the coefficient of determination. One of my variable work environment not insignificant, and for the F test, all variable is significant. Relationship of three variables are very strong because multiple correlation analysis have account 0.708. Next. Next, Prof. Yeah. Conclusion, in a specific, this study provides proof that the worth of some input part will cause a rise in worker job satisfaction. For instance, thank you very much. Terima kasih. Thank you, Prof. Bina. Maybe one participant can make my research become clear.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Misnia. And I would like to ask the audience if they had any questions to her presentation, please. We have 5 minutes or more. Yeah, thank you. Do we have any questions? You can also key in your questions if you are, you can key in the chat box. Otherwise, you can ask Dr. Misna directly. Okay, I think there doesn't seem to be any questions yet. Maybe we can also, if they have any questions, they could ask you at the end of the session. So let me then now invite Dr. Wayan Rusandi. Thank you for waiting, and sorry
Thank
for.
you.
Yeah,
Terima
thank you, Dr.
kasih.
Misna.
Terima
Thank
kasih,
you.
Prof. Bina. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi,
So,
I will
yeah,
need to
thank you.
take a screenshot of Dr. Misna with her
All
certificate.
right, yeah, sure. Dr. Misna, please hold on. They want to take a
Yes.
picture of you with the certificate. So just wait. Thank you.
Let me share my screen.
Rabena,
Yes.
is it possible the PPT screen shared by committee or not?
Sorry, I think we had a very poor connection. I couldn't hear you. Would you please repeat that?
Yeah,
Sorry, do you mind key?
The material about you can also screen share from. I mean, share the screen from the committee.
Yeah, I think that the committee will do that. So when you're ready, you know, after Dr. Misna's pictures has been taken, they will let us know and whether we are ready to start the second session. And then we will move over to your slides. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Bennett.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dr.
And
Misna,
Mr. Sharif, yeah.
Sorry. Dr. Misna, I will show you. I will take a screenshot in 3 seconds. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I believe I've taken the screenshot, so I'll stop sharing the certificate now.
All right. So we'll wait for Dr. Vayan's screen to come up, his slides.
Yes, so I will start the certificate screenshot up first. I will share them shortly.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. So
Check. Yep, it's all good. So,
okay. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. So now I would like to invite Dr. Wayan Rusmandi Junaidi from the University of Dianapura, Indonesia, with his paper, The Role and Function of the Aceh Baitul Mal in Increasing the Economic Growth of the Achenese Indigenous People. So with great pleasure, I'd like to invite Dr. Wayan, please.
Yes. Hello, everybody. How are you today? I'm Wayan Resus, joined our research in the lecture in Dianapura University in management program study. Okay. It is possible you can make bigger, Professor Bena? Okay. It's okay. I have.
Sorry, I'm not the one controlling the screen. Is being controlled by the technical committee.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Yes, I got the grant from the government, from the Indonesian government, about economic in terms of indigenous people in Padang, also Toraja and Papua. So today I would like to give you my result of our research, the role and function of the Aceh Baitul Mal in increasing the economic growth of the Acehese indigenous people. Please, next. Yes, the background. The economic activity is born aimed at improving people's welfare. The welfare of society always has an impact on the growth cycle and the running of a national economy. For the sake of running an economy well and continuously, the state or government form various financial institutions which are expected not only to be able to manage finance and carry out the economic cycle, but also to empower the people's economy. Ladies and gentlemen, various attempts and of formulation, valuation, and improvement, as well as local genius, wisdom local, are considered in the birth of various finance-based empowerment institutions. One of the institutions formed by the governments to manage finance and empower the community economy is the Aceh Baitul Mal. Next, please. Look at our picture. I and Damawan Waru, as our members of this research, we are interviewed Professor Himan Hamid. He is a professor of Unsia in Aceh. In an interview at his residence, Banda Aceh, 21st of November 2020, stated that the role of the Baitul Mal has been seen so far, but not fully. It may take time and stage as well as consistency and roles and functions in carrying out the role. There are taxes, zakat, and various donations in it, a very large amount. So it must be pure and from an Islamic heart based on the Quran and Hadith. Please, next. What is the problem formulation of our research today? Based on the explanation above, the aspects studied in this study are focused on the role and function of the Aceh Baitul Mal in increasing the economic growth of Aceh indigenous peoples. So, ladies and gentlemen, the second formulation is, this is because during the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been running for a year, national economic growth has fallen sharply, and even a free fall is seen not being felt by Aceh as a whole. In terms of economic and food security, Aceh also looks more stable. Even the Minister of Financial, Sri Mulyani, said that national banking intermediation tends to decline, but the performance of Islamic banking tends to be stable and grows higher than conventional banking. Please, next, the others PowerPoint. And the 1.3 research objective. What is our objective of this study? The study aims to analyze and describing the role and function of the Aceh Baitul Mal in increasing the economic growth of the Aceh's indigenous people as a review. It is hoped that in the future, the Baitul Mal will not only become a non-institution of structure in Aceh provincial government in economic environment, but also be owned by all other local governments through regulation made by the central government. Please, next. Ladies and gentlemen, the next pages. Yeah, research method. What is our methodology of our research? The research was conducted using the technique snowball sampling. Snowball sampling technique is a sampling method in which samples are obtained through a rolling process from one to another. Snowball sampling technique is a method for identifying, selecting, and taking samples in a continuous network. Of course, we do triangulation data from our informant. Please, next. The result and discussion, because we have a limited of time, so I go directly to the result and discussion. If you look at the system financial management, every eyes tends to focus on the two systems that are now familiar, namely the conventional system, the Sharia or Islamic system. System of Sharia tend to have a room that was not too big rather than conventional. This is clear because conventional law always speaks and refers to the profit that must be obtained if you give a loan or help. Unlike the case with Sharia, which has the concept of giving without expecting profit and not giving help by increasing the burden, interest, or of the recipient. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, so I will read the second Allah. So this is about rewards multiplies of whom he wants, and Allah is fast. His gift is consistent. According to the Nas, it can be seen that a Muslim has the belief that giving will increase, not decreasing. So 1 plus 1 is not divided by, the result is 2, but maybe more than 2. Or 5 dividing by 3 is more than 3. So this is just the analogy. This has become a belief and also become a foundation in the management of Sharia law, including the work of the Baitul Mal. The perspective that Sharia management is only owned by the Islamic community who carry out Islamic law makes Sharia management still have a limited scope. Regulation are needed and are supported by wisdom local. Please, next, the pages, please. The role of the Baitul Mal Aceh. As an institution of collecting and distributing funds, the role of the Baitul Mal is broad and covers all levels of community problem, from the poor, orphans, widows, and etc., and various levels of the same. This is because Baitul Mal as an institutional financial Sharia base implements the rules by referring to the Quran as the word of Allah. Next, please. Baitul Mal institution is an institution that manages finance not only from tax returns but also zakat, in fact, and also endowments, as well as other giving asset voluntary by optimizing giving to those who are entitled through decision without the slightest burden of receiving, or in other words, different from conventional Huda 2010. There is a difference between Baitul Mal and Baitul Mal, even though both of them boil down to one, namely collecting and distributing to those who are entitled. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the financial management of Baitul Mal according to the Sharia departs from state assets which are stored and then distributed as a whole without expecting to return to the state. In various books of hadith and history, there are 40 names of friends who, when used in the modern terms. However, there was no mention of a state treasurer. Conditions like this are only possible in an environment that has a very tight monitoring system. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, brother and sister, this is our figure 2. We have a visit by Tulmal in Lok Sumawi together with Mr. Darmawan Waru, and our researcher is Iksan. Ladies and gentlemen, next, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is our interview with the Lok Sumawi Public Relation and Deputy. Yeah, the function of Baitul Mal Aceh. So, it is possible I skip another slide, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is a figure 4, submission of aid Baitul Mal to Daya Pesantren Source. And also, this is a figure on offer of aid by Tahfiz. And next, please. Because of relative of time, the conclusion is, as a financial management institution in terms of recipient and distributors, the existence of Baitul Mal is not a new institution. Baitul Mal has been proven to be able to manage finance without burdening anyone since the arrival of the Islamic government. Everything was formed voluntarily, and Aceh tried to restore its economic glory through the presence of Baitul Mal Aceh in managing finance and empowerment. Please, next. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of function of the Aceh Baitul Mal have become a conclusion that is present is highly recommended. This is because the presence of Baitul Mal work based of faith and does not burden anyone, the giver or receiver in assisting. In the future, Baitul Mal is expected to become an institution that not only manages finance and Siswap and Aceh, but also manage finance, zakat in fact in another areas through central government regulation in Indonesia. Next. And thank you very much, my dear brother and sister, for your attention. My God bless you. I give the time for Professor Bena. Thank you very much. God bless us.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Wayan, for your presentation. It was very interesting. So now we have, about 5 to 10 minutes for question and answers for Dr. Wayan. So if there are any questions from the audience, please, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you could type it in the chat box as well.
Hi, Prof. Bina.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Very interesting your research, Mr. Wayan, Dr. Wayan. And I have a bit question. And what do you think main contribution your research can be used in the daily life or business? Thanks.
Possible I answer directly, Miss Professor Bena, or we just collecting another.
No, you can answer this question. Thank you.
It is possible I know the person who asked me the question, the name, and also the institution, please.
Yes, I came from Makassar.
Oh,
Stay PUP Makassar. Yes, I hear you mention about Toraja and others. So
yeah,
it is very interesting for
yeah,
me.
yeah. What is
Thank
your
you.
name,
Yes,
my dear brother?
yes. My name is Sharifuddin. Yes,
Sharifuddin.
yes.
Okay, Sharifuddin. Thank you very much, our brother from Indonesia. I'm from Bali. At least I have a new friends from a new brother and from Makassar. Okay, because I went to Makassar as well for many times because I went to Toraja through Makassar Airport together with our researcher. So the question is, apa yang kamu pikirkan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari in bahasa Indonesia? What do you think in daily life and for business? Okay, this is I will answer in both in bahasa.
Sorry. I mean, is your contribution, research contribution here to
Okay.
yes, to people.
Okay, the research contribution. Okay, for Baitul Mal, it is very good because in our economic pandemic COVID-19, if you look at the bank, or we call the commercial bank, you can see we have, and tourism in Bali are very affected with this pandemic COVID, because first the tourism come from abroad, tourism coming from Indonesian or national, there is no transaction business in our tourism in Bali. That's mean we have a limited of profit, we have a limited or decreasing our volume increase in terms of sales. So the Baitul Mal Aceh, it is very good because all the people in, I'm sorry, in Aceh, we can say they give the money, they give in fact zakat through the Baitul Mal Aceh, and the people who don't have nothing, they can rent, they can borrow the money without interest. That's mean how we can increasing the quality of the people, how we can increasing the welfare of the people in Aceh. So that's mean the contribution of this research to Indonesia. Why don't Indonesia can follow, or we can use these models through Indonesian government? So it's mean, yeah, it is my research, my dear Saprudin. Yeah, I don't know it is a benefit for government or not. I don't know, but at least I do my research in terms of Baitul Mal Aceh. In fact, Sakap, they can give very they give the money to the Baitul Mal Aceh, and Baitul Mal Aceh can sharing to the people who need the money. Thank you very much, Saifruddin.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, thank you for that. I have a question. If I'm quite interested in your research as well. What were the number of participants in your study, please? Because you mentioned you use snowball sampling. So what's the total number of respondents in your research?
Professor Bena, this is you.
Yes, it's from me.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I'm the lecturer in bachelor degree. I use quantitative research. Quantitative means I use the tools, SPSS, something like that. But then after I studied in Germany and I went to Satya Wacana University, the lecturer asked me to use qualitative research. And of course, this is very difficult for me because from quantitative to qualitative research. But at least I learned how to use the qualitative research. So I got informant. Informant means the data I got from the person who has authority to answer this question research. For example, the public, like in Somawe, he's what we call in Bahasa Inggris wali kota, ya, major. And also I went to Banda Aceh, the informer coming from the lecturer as well, a professor from Unsia. So So I comparing between all the information. Of course, I said if I got the saturation, the data, then I finish it. So it is yeah. Information I got from the in Banda Aceh and also Lok Sumawi. So I coding and I transcript the interview and I coding. I do my theme. Every word we give a theme, and then from the theme I can merge the theory, a new theory for us. So I don't use in quantitative research like methodology like sample, something like that, population, something like that. Thank you, Professor Bena.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I think I was mistaken. I saw snowball sampling and all that. So I assumed you had conducted a quantitative research. So that's fine. Thank you for your response. Yeah, I'd like to know if there are any other questions for the presenter. I don't see. Maybe they will have questions, at the end as well. So thank you very much for your presentation, and I wish you all the very best for your research. I'd now like to invite is it Dr. Diane Sen Shun Chin with her paper to present her paper, Employee Personal Branding and Corporate Brand Review, a Review. Thank you. Over to you, Diane.
Thank you, Professor Bina. Can everybody see me? I'm just wondering if my face is visible to everyone.
We can see you.
Okay,
we can see you clearly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm really happy to be here today. I'm really excited to be talking about personal branding. Let me share my screen.
Professor Bena, it is also take a picture together with me before I leave.
Yeah, we will. We'll take a picture at the end.
Oh, shall I unshare? Okay, I'll stop.
No, we can. Oh, sorry. I was thinking maybe we can take a picture at the end if you could stay on, because you've already started. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start then. Thank you. Okay, we all know that employees are assets. Everyone says this. It's all over the place, not only in academic writing, but also in books and all that. Richard Branson said it, Tony Hsieh said it. So the notion of employees as assets is not anything new at all. However, in the past 2 years, we have seen so many people go online and talking about themselves, and the notion of personal branding became very, very popular, and people are building their brands online. So I got really curious about this. Can the personal brands of employees affect corporate brand equity? Right? If an employee has a very strong personal brand, can it actually contribute to corporations and brand equity for companies? And there's so many funny things that are on the internet as well, like this one. When you hire the wrong person, people talk about that, what happens and all. So we all know that hiring the right person is very important. So the topic for my critical review is employee personal branding and how it affects corporate brand equity. I'm Diane. I am a PhD candidate with Swinburne University here. And my abstract is like this. It's going to be a critical review of how employees and their personal brands can be used for positive effects on corporate brand equity. And the purpose for this is to provide insights into personal branding of employees and how we can use it to positively affect corporate brand equity. And my method is critical review of extant literature, because what I found is there's so much written about it. Everyone has got their own steps, their own guidelines and all that. And I just got really interested in putting it all together and having a framework that people can use. And this is how I hope to provide value, new insights for corporate brand equity from the employee perspective. I aim to bring together the fragmented knowledge of what's out there, people writing about it, people talking about it, and also to look at it from the positive and negative viewpoint as well. Because as we'll see later, there is a dark side to personal branding. I also hope to provide insights to create for job seekers to create a strategic personal brand, for the jobs that they want, and provide better understanding for companies to make the right hire so that they save money and they save time. And ultimately, of course, I hope that this will provide a springboard for further studies into, I feel this to be an interesting area of study. And today, just really quickly, I'm going to go through this. How important is personal branding, observations in practice, literature, and finance, and look at what are the elements that make up someone's personal brand. And also, can personal branding have a dark side? And ultimately, what are the factors necessary so that personal brands of employees can be a positive asset to corporate brand equity? Before we move on, let me just give a brief summary of what brand equity is. Brand equity is commonly known as the commercial value of a brand, and it can be measured and acquired in three ways. One is through customer perceptions. Like many companies measure their brand equity through surveys given to their customers. It can also be measured through employees' attitudes towards the corporate brand. And lastly, it is also measured through financial records. For example, stock price movements, goodwill in your financial records. So there are these three ways. The most popular actually is customer perceptions for now. There are some papers written about employee-based brand equity, not many, but there are some. And the financial records are not as popular with marketers because it is based on historical records. Right. So these are observations in practice. As you can see, the minute I mentioned Mark Zuckerberg, Tony Fernandez, or Richard Branson, even if I didn't provide those photographs, you could probably picture their face as well, and you will immediately know what they stand for. Richard Branson just went to outer space, right? So everyone knows that. And these are people with really strong personal brands, and you can see that the personal brands are great assets to their companies because you immediately see the face and associate it with the brand. And there are companies like Louis Vuitton, Prada, and all that. They use people with strong personal brands, and they pay those people to represent them. They even give them free handbags. I hear about this, right? And these are where the personal brands of people become brand equity for the brands that they represent. And Acolo had a really funny ad. They showed Paris Hilton's ad for Carl's Jr. and then they replaced Paris Hilton with the guy on the right. And we all think it's kind of funny. And at the end of the ad, they say it's important to hire the right person. So from all this, we can see observations in practice that already acknowledge the importance of the personal brands of people to company brand equity. In literature also, there have been studies into aesthetic appearance and how it is really significant to perception and how dressing and style has influence on how the customers regard your product and your corporate brand. Even country branding, where the citizens are famous. For example, in Korea, when Winter Sonata came out, everyone wanted to visit Korea because they fell in love with the people, not the country, because they haven't been there, but they fell in love with the people and they wanted to visit the country because of that. And the country recorded a huge surge in tourists and income coming in from the tourists. So these are some examples in literature where they've studied and they've found that, yes, the personal brands of people are actually significant to brand equity. And observations in finance, while marketers don't find this the most popular way of ascertaining brand equity, it's still very telling, right? Financial analysts actually see appearance and caliber of senior employees as significant to stock prices. So their recommendations actually sometimes also depend on who is at the helm of the company, who's the CEO, and who's the senior C-suite people there. And even big companies and I'll start Korea again, in Korea, like YG Entertainment, actually either suffer or benefit from how well their people perform. When they're like Blackpink, they represent Blackpink. When Blackpink is doing really well, the stock price goes up. And when their stars misbehave, the stock price goes down, you know? So these are some observations in finance that I came about in my literature review. So we move on to, okay, now we know that personal brand is really important. What are the things that make up somebody's personal brand? One of the first things, a very big thing, big element is appearance. So in literature, we can see that personal appearance is actually a significant contributor to managing impressions. The appearance of CEOs are known to be important, and spokesperson as well. When you are a company and you pay someone to represent your brand, how they look is really important. Whether their look matches with your brand is also really important. And they even found that service avatars, not even real people, just avatars that talk to you like in a robot voice on the internet, those service avatars also have to be of a certain look, right? It's also significant. That was very interesting to me, for me to find out. The second element of an authentic personal brand is behavior, and employees' behavior will impact on the corporate brand. This was in a study as well. And Vatsuri in 2015 wrote about the CEO branding mix. And he also said behavior, like performance and personality, are very important in the whole branding mix for a person. So behavior is actually a very powerful communicator of a brand, and the second element to building an authentic brand. And the third and last one, and the most difficult one, is the congruence with the self. There have been a lot written about this as well, that a personal brand is not only comprised of just how you behave and how you look, but how connected you are to that personal brand. Is it your true self? Is it congruent with the self that you are? And authenticity is very important in personal branding. And there was some research into how the private life of an athlete, if they make it public, that athlete became even more popular because he's sharing his personal life with people and he's connecting his personal life to his public life, right? So congruence with self, that's the third element of an authentic personal brand. Okay, so here we are, that's the summary. A personal brand is made up of appearance, behavior, and congruence with self. So for a person to build an authentic, powerful personal brand, they need to be thinking, how should I look? Is it congruent with who I am? How should I behave? Is it congruent with who I am? So those are the elements. And before I go into how we can use those elements for corporate branding, let's look also at the dark side of personal branding. There's a dark side, there's a negative side. There are people who've written that, oh, you know, personal branding is just to satisfy the customer. It isn't who the person is. You're just behaving in a certain way because you feel people want to see that. And many say it lacks authenticity when it is too built, is too contrived. And some even say image takes precedence over substance. You just look good, you have no substance. And there were concerns about people wanting to build a personal brand and exposing too much of their private lives to their detriment. I think we can see a lot of that in how some people's lives have been destroyed or harmed because they put it too much out there, right? So these are some of the dark side of personal branding that people have brought up. Now, how do we take the personal brands of employees and make it a positive contribution to corporate brand equity? Because it can go the other way as well. So from literature, I found two very big factors that must be present for your employees' personal brand to be an asset to your corporate brand. The first one is congruence with the corporate brand, right? The employees' personal brand must be in line with the corporate brand. If it is not, if it is opposite to the corporate brand, especially if that employee has a very strong personal brand, it can go the other way. It can be a negative effect as well. And the personal brand can override a corporate brand. So that's the danger of it, right? The other factor, the second factor, is internal branding. Internal branding means employees internalizing the corporate brand, understanding and supporting and being part of the corporate brand. When your employees understand the corporate brand, they are in a better position to support that brand. So a strong internal branding is the second factor that must be present for the personal brands of employees to be a positive effect on corporate brand equity. So there we have it. This is a summary for personal branding to to result in employee brand equity, it must be congruent with your corporate brand, not opposite. And there must be internal branding. The employee must understand and internalize the corporate brand. This is the summary of just what I shared. I've talked about observations in practice, literature, and finance, how important the personal brands of people are to brand equity. And I also talked about personal branding must have appearance, behavior, and congruence with self as elements. And we also talked about the dark side of branding, how it can go the other way. And the factors that are necessary for personal branding to positively affect corporate brand equity is the congruence with the corporate brand and internal branding exercise by the company. And moving forward from this critical review, I hope to see this, that companies understand that it's so important and advantageous to understand the concept of personal branding because it is a yet underutilized asset. It is almost free because the companies already have your employees. And to understand how to best utilize these employees' personal brands is almost a free resource. And the employees will probably be really appreciative as well if they are taught how to dress, they're taught how to best present themselves. And it's also imperative to understand this resource to avoid potential risks that can happen because everyone is online. The personal brands of everyone is so much more easily shared with the World Wide Web internet right now. And another area of interest moving forward is also the measurement of congruence. In the literature review, there was a lack of studies into measuring congruence, right? No, so far I have not seen anything in depth into it. There were studies into internal branding for airlines, for example, but there were very few that actually measured the congruence between the employees with the corporate brand. And with that, thank you for listening to me. I love connecting. You can follow me on LinkedIn if you like. And I welcome any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane, for your presentation. It was very interesting. And I would like to invite questions now from the audience. So if there are any questions for Diane, please do unmute yourself and ask questions, or you could type it in the chat box. Thank you. Okay, I think I will go with a question first. So Diane, I'm quite interested in your research study, and I was wondering if you could give us some examples of organizations in Malaysia that you think are quite successful with this brand, brand presence, and how they have kind of increased their influence. Would you be able to? Yeah,
yes.
Thanks.
Yes, I was looking with great interest at the airlines because I find airlines, because they fly everywhere, it is of great advantage for them to personal brand, especially the air hostesses, because they serve people on board. And Malaysia Airlines has been doing it for years, as Singapore Airlines as well. But in the Malaysian context, Malaysian Airlines has been doing it for years. And when you see the Malaysian Airlines kebaya, you know immediately who they work for. And, Malaysia Airlines, up until recently, of course, with the pandemic. But before that, we've won awards for best service and all that. And we are well known for that. So Malaysia Airlines would be one. Another example I would like to give is our Sarawakan company, Sarawak Energy Berhad, our utilities company. And they've done a great job of personal branding for their employees that support their brand, because they've sent their employees for training, and they also have a uniform for their employees, and they require their senior employees to be dressed a certain way. I know that for a fact because I've studied that, dressed a certain way, and to drive a certain type of car, not luxury, but in line with the position that they are holding. So these are all little things that contribute towards the personal branding of their employees that are congruent with what the company wants to project. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm just looking at if there are any other questions, I do have another question for you as
Sure.
well. I mean, it's just, probably it'll help. I don't know whether you're at the end of your research study or, you're still in the middle. I was just also,
sorry.
yeah, sorry. Have you completed your study or you're still in the
This
middle?
this is a sideline. I love the subject of personal branding. This is a sideline. Actually, my PhD studies is into corporate brand personality, which includes the personal branding of people, corporate brand personality, and corporate brand equity. Actually.
Okay. So my question to you is, can you give us some examples of companies who have actually suffered financial, decline as a result of selecting a wrong representative or having a poor internal branding?
The ones that I've read about, and I know it might resonate with some people here. I do watch some K-drama, admittedly, sorry. I do watch K-drama. And there have been a lot of reports about bullying. Yeah, and there are some, in K-drama, their actors and actresses become gods and goddesses overnight as a result from famous shows that they've been on. So there were some people who've been on these shows, and then suddenly someone says something bad about them, and like bullying case or rape cases, especially bullying cases. And then after that, you don't see anything happening anymore. And if you go and check, usually they are represented by YG Entertainment, but there are some others as well. You will see that the stock price has gone down. The stock price has gone down. And even I think most people are too young for this, but I was around when Winter Sonata became really famous. And when Winter Sonata became famous, everyone wanted to go to Korea and go to the same places where their favorite people, the two beautiful stars went. And if you look at Korea at that time, their GDP actually went up. They actually benefited a lot from that. It went up more than 100%, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So now, I'm not sure if there are any other questions, but I would like we missed, taking picture for Dr. Bayan. So I think maybe the technical committee would like to have a certificate photo taking with Diane and then followed by Dr. Bayan. Okay, so I'll leave it to the technical.
Thank you, Professor Dina. So I will share it of Diane first. A moment. Okay, so please let me know, Diane, if you could see your certificate.
Yes, I can see.
All right, very good. So I will count to 3.
Thank you very much, Professor Bena.
Take your picture. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so I've taken your picture. Okay, thank you, Diane.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now can we have a picture for the certificate picture for Dr. Bayan? And then he also wanted a group picture. So thank you.
Please.
Oh wait, sorry, Diane. So I will have to retake the screenshot because I entered the wrong key just now.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Okay, please go ahead. It's okay.
Okay, so I will reshare Diane's certificate again. Okay, so
I'm sorry, my physical background is not the same.
it's okay. It's okay. Everything works. Diane, could you see the certificate? Okay, so I'll do count to 3 again, and I'll take your picture. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I will stop sharing and check if I have actually taken it. So give me a moment. All right, yep, Diane, oh, good. Yours is taken.
Okay, so can we have the picture for Dr. Bayan, please, next?
Yep, absolutely. Right, so, okay, give me a moment. Okay, so can you see your certificate, Dr. Wyatt? Okay, so I will take your picture in a count to 3.
Yes.
All right, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so
Okay.
I'll start sharing and check if I've taken yours. Yep, all good. We can move on to the next presenter.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot, Diane and Dr. Wyan. So I think we will move on to the next speaker for the session.
Thank you,
And that
Dr.
is, yeah, you're welcome, Diane. So I think next speaker for the session is Alvin Lee. And with his paper, Effects of Neuroticism and Extraversion on Turnover Intention Among Millennial Employees in Malaysia, a review. So it's a very interesting paper title, Alvin. So we look forward to your presentation. And over to you, Alvin. Thank you.
All right, hold on. I will be sharing my own screen and control my own screen. All good?
Yes,
Hi.
we can see.
All right, good. Hi, everyone. My name is Elvin. I'm from Swinburne University of Sarawak. My research is actually on the effect of neuroticism and extraversion on turnover intention among millennials employees in Malaysia. In year 2019, the global turnover rate was 27.9%. The consequences of turnover are in the form of recruitment, training costs, and time expenses. Turnover intention is known as a situation where employees consciously make a voluntary effort to leave the company. Hence, studying turnover intentions allows the employers to understand necessary solutions to identify and prevent employees' turnover intention before they quit their jobs, and subsequently causes the incurrence of turnover costs. Studies have reported that millennials are labor job hoppers because turnover intention is higher among millennials compared to Generation X. In Malaysia, the average employee turnover rate was 20% in year 2017, and millennials comprises around 49% of the workforce. Several studies on Malaysian millennials have identified monetary compensation, career development, supervision, work environment, job organization reputation, and colleague relation among the factors that affect employee turnover. However, this factor did not fully reflect the thinking patterns of millennials, especially when millennials are known to be an emotionally driven cohort. Moreover, majority of prior research work were conducted in Western countries and may not be relevant among Malaysian millennials due to the differences that have shaped different core values, cultures, and mentality. Hence, this research was conducted to address existing gaps through the investigation of the two popular dimensions from the Big Five personality theory, namely neuroticism and extraversion. Our objectives are: first, to determine the impact of neuroticism personality on millennials' employee turnover intention in Malaysia. Second, to determine the impact of extraversion personality on millennials' employee turnover in Malaysia. In our conceptual paper, a deep review of relevant significant literature has been conducted for logical understanding and personality traits and turnover intention. Hence, a deep search was conducted using journal and conference articles, research studies, and reports with these main keywords, which are turnover intention, personality traits, extraversion, neuroticism, and millennials. For our finding, it is shown that millennials have an increasing measure of self-esteem and narcissism, but decreasing needs for social validation across the three generations from baby boomers to millennials. Millennials also have greater tendency of anxiety, depression, and the need of control. Although millennials have higher needs for freedom and related work values, millennials were reported to cherish personal development, as millennials were born during the period where family values were strong and they were raised with responsible parenting skill and adequate adult supervision. This caused them to be labeled as emotionally needy or high maintenance. Despite that, there are few inconsistency among results. Some studies have reported an increase in turnover intention in millennials, while others reported lower turnover intention of millennials compared to two previous generations. In terms of personality traits, some studies have reported that positive attributes like extraversion and openness were positively related to turnover intention, which others saw negative relations. When examining the relationship of extraversion and turnover intentions, some studies have reported that extraversion have significant impact on turnover intention, while others reported a positive impact or even no significant impact. Some studies have reported that millennials have high positive characteristics like extraversion, while other studies reported that millennials have more negative characteristics. When examining the relationship of neuroticism with turnover intentions, some studies have reported that low neuroticism have significant inverse impact on turnover intention, while other studies reported that neuroticism was not found to sufficiently predict turnover intention. Although studies have found that millennials have higher neuroticism, some studies reported that millennials have low neuroticism. This can be explained that studies were conducted in different cultures. In cross-cultural study across 51 cultures, there is a high score of extraversion in Europe and America as compared to Asian and African cultures. Hence, this is our proposed theoretical framework in which our first proposition is extraversion has a significant relationship with turnover intention among Malaysian millennials. And our second proposition is neuroticism has a significant relationship with turnover intention among Malaysian millennials. It is expected that the outcome of this research will give insight on how employers may better engage, inspire, or retain millennials in the Malaysian workforce. Thus, the result from this research will mainly serve as a guideline in the process of recruitment, in which questions regarding personality information can be derived during the interview process. In hope that this approach has the potential to slow down the rate of turnover intention among millennials based on their personality traits across all industries in Malaysia. It can be concluded that there are many inconsistencies in literature and little is known about the personality traits of millennials, especially in Malaysia. Hence, in the near future, the proposed framework will be tested and evaluated in the context of millennials working in Malaysia, in respective of industry. That's all for my presentation today. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Alvin. Thank you very much. So I think we'll get the picture taken and then we'll move to the question and answer session. So I'd like to invite the technical committee to please take a picture of Alvin with his certificate, and then we'll follow it up with questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tina. Thank you, Alvin. So, Alvin, I will share your certificate with you right now. Alvin, please let me know if you can see your certificate. Oh, good, yeah. All right, so I guess I will take your picture in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I will check if I've taken it successfully. I'll stop sharing. Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so questions for Alvin, please. Can we have some feedback for Alvin from the audience? All right, I think I will ask you a question, Alvin.
Sure.
Yeah, it's also quite an interesting piece of research that you are looking at. So I was wondering about the situation in Malaysia regarding millennials. What do you think is, I mean, what do you think are some of the impacts of, this turnover in companies who have employed, millennials with these intentions? So have you looked at, their performance or how this has affected their overall outputs?
Sorry, can you repeat it again?
Yeah, because your paper looked at, the turnover and intention among millennial employees in Malaysia with the effects of neuroticism and extroversion. So I was wondering, from your study, if you have noticed what are some of those detrimental, effects in organizations which have employed a number of millennials? I mean, how has this affected their productivity or, by hiring people who tend to leave, how has this affected their overall, impact, productivity and outcomes?
All right, so basically you are referring to the consequences, am I right? The consequences
Correct.
of those organizations that has hired them.
Yes.
All right, the first thing is that the organization, they lost of the skill, the expertise skill, and they have to give the new people, the new staff, training, the skill training again, the knowledge, all these things. All these actually incur intangible and intangible costs for these consequences. So basically, the first thing will be, I would say they were lost in financial loss because they have to spend a lot of time to provide all this new training for new staff. The second thing is the loss of this skill and their reputation of the company, which bring a very bad image to the company.
I see. So what do you think might be some of the overall impacts of, millennials' decisions? I mean, will this affect other millennials, in their job opportunities, because as a result of experience, do you think that companies will tend, to hesitate or will hesitate to hire millennials? Is this destroying the job market for millennials?
Basically, it will affect the millennials, especially those who keep on changing their job. So whenever they go for new interview, the first question the new organization will ask them, do you have any work experience and where do you work? How long do you work? All these will affect their future performance and they will actually influence the other millennials also.
All right, thank you. So do we have any other, I mean, I really welcome the audience as well to ask questions. It probably will help him shape his research better. All right, I don't see questions coming up. Maybe we have more time. We'll, give opportunities to the audience to ask questions from any of the 5 speakers. All right, thank you again, Alvin, for your presentation and all the best to you. So now I'd like to invite, the 5th speaker. I know we are ahead of time, but, we could leave some time for at the end. So I'd like to invite the next speaker, who is Sharafuddin Lakas from Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Ekonomik, Makassar, Indonesia, with his paper, Constructing a Cognitive Islamic Religiosity Measurement Scale in the Workplace, an Empirical Study in Indonesian Local Companies. All right, Mr. Sharafuddin, over to you.
Well, thank you, Professor Bina. And good afternoon, all participants. I hope we are all in good health today. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers of the event for allowing us to participate in this event so that we have the opportunity to present our research. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sharifuddin. I come from Makassar, South Sulawesi. Lecture at the STPUP Makassar. My field is Islamic accounting and behavioral accounting. So today I will presented my research is entitled Constructing a Cognitive Islamic Religiosity Measurement Scale in the Workplace, empirical study in Indonesian local companies. So this study departs from desire to examine the impact of Islamic religiosity on individual behavior in supporting individual performance in the organization business. So this desires based on several writings such as here and Nasser. He wrote about, according to him, the factor encourage high honesty and responsible behavior is religiosity. And according to him, human behavior can be driven through by the religiosity behavior. Next slide. Access me. Yes. Yeah. However, according to her and Nasser, excessive emphasis of rationality without the religious values will encourage an unethical behavior in the organization. And according to Muhammad, religious value held by individual are good motivators and controls in encouraging their daily activities, including in organization. Research conducted by Holcroft suggests that religiosity is a good predictor of encouraging ethical and altruistic behavior. Like Holcroft, Benjamin also suggested the religiosity is very important to assess the individual economic behavior. So based on the research, this result raises the question how to measure the individual Islamic religiosity in a business organization. Therefore, this study compile a scale for measurement Islamic religiosity. According to Halek and Tucker, 2019, he say religiosity is when individual internalize the total belief of their faith and find their main motive for living according to religious teaching and bring their needs into harmony with religious belief. Therefore, it can be said that cognitive religiosity can provide a premise about good and bad or individual in organization. So this study assumes that a person have a level of religiosity can control dishonesty behavior in organization. Next slide, please. Therefore, this study aims to develop a scale for measuring Islamic religiosity. Research questions is what is the appropriate instrument to measure Islamic religiosity in the workplace? And method, we have two steps. The first step is instrument selection. The first is conducting study of previous literature. Then the determine concept of Islamic religiosity cognition. The third is performing scale scanning according to research problem formulation. The second step is statistical analysis. We analyze about the content validity and the discriminant validity. So yes, can we go to the next slide? Yes, first of all, I collect some of previous studies that have examined the religiosity of Islam. We managed to collect 14 studies that claim to be related to the measurement of Islamic religiosity. But however, it turns out that only 9 studies related to measurement of Islamic religiosity, while others related to the measurement of other religion that do not have the same perspective Islam. Furthermore, a more in-depth study in instrument of the 9 studies was carried out. The result studies show that most of them are rooted in the measurement scale that has been compiled by Alport and Ross in 1967. Although the measurement religiosity has been studied by several Muslim researchers, the study rooted from the other perspective. Therefore, some Islamic researchers have tried to formulate their own instrument for measuring Islamic religiosity based on the teaching of Islam, as you can see in the slide in table 1. It is like Archer, Krauss, and so on. However, a scale that is completely different, depart from Islamic teaching, is the one compiled by Mahmudin. It is from Malaysian University, UTM, if I'm not wrong. Mahmudin 2016 compiled a scale based on hadith of Prophet Muhammad narrated by Muslim number 10 about how we define Islamic religiosity. But unfortunately, the Mohammedan scale is still very concise with only 12 instruments. Meanwhile, when using the statistical measurements such as SEM or PLS, usually they require about 5 or 10 instruments for each dimension. Therefore, the instrument was rearranged again from 9 previous studies by collecting, sorting, and finally remaining approximately 30 instruments. In addition, the instrument was synchronized again with the 3 dimensions of Islam as mentioned earlier in Hadith. If we take a closer look at the Hadith about what Islam meaning, they say Islam is 5 pillars about Islam: witnessing there is no God but Allah, praying 5 times a day, paying zakat, etc., etc. And then Iman is believing on Allah, angel, His book, His messengers, and believing in good and best destiny. The third dimension is Ihsan, is worshipping His as if you were saying Allah. And if you don't see it, then Allah is all seeing what we do. From the 3 dimensions about Islam, Islam, Iman, and Ihsan, we rearrange the instrument about Islamic religiosity. The first dimension, Islam, is a practice of religion, rituals, that increase belief or fight about Allah, adherence to religious teaching, while Iman is formed about belief that underlies every action to carry out the practice of worship. Then the last is Ihsan is formed a supervision in individual who has religiosity where he always feel under supervision by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Next slide, please. Yes. So as you can see in the table, you can see the 3 dimensions about Islamic religiosity: Islam, Imam, and Ihsan. Every dimension have 5 instruments. So all instruments about 15 instruments. Uh, there are several instruments such as feeling under supervision of Allah, like muraqabah, when harnessed at work, a very important element in working organization. This encourage the internal control within the individual. The instrument there is not in the Mohammedan scale, but after we locate in the definition about ihsan, I think is muraqabah in Arabic, or supervision by Allah, is very important. We added to instrument about Islamic religiosity. So all instrument about 15 instrument. After that, we then tested the instrument in the a group company in the east of Indonesia. Maybe you're familiar with the Kala group. About 176 respondents. We testing the validity and reliability using PLSM. Then results show the 15 instrument, like in table 2, eligible as instrument because they have loading above 0.70. Furthermore, the reliability testing with discriminant analysis shows that loading on the dimension is much higher than the other dimension, except for one instrument, Y15, always feel close to Allah, has higher loading value on faith. It was transferred to Islamic dimension. So that dimension of faith becomes 4, and dimension of Islam becomes 6 instrument. As you can see in table 4, can you move to the table 4? Next slide. Yes. Yeah. Well, the testing is validity, as you can see, is in table 4, table 6. Yes. So, sorry, table 6. Sorry. Table 6. No, before. before. Yes. It is table 2. Table 3. Table 3. Yes, correct. Yes. Yeah. This is a validity test for 15 instrument. As you can see, the Iman have 4 instrument. Islam have 6 instrument, and Ihsan have 5 instrument. From the test, we believe this instrument has good validity and have good reliability. Based on this result, it could be concluded that 15 instruments have good loading. 2 main elements stand out from the validity test, namely the instrument originating from element of the concept of nature of growth, grace, such as you can see in Arabic we say amanah, qanaah, and siddiq in ihsan, ihsan dimension. Amanah, qanaah, siddiq have a much higher loading the instrument originating from the attitude of avoiding sanction or threat from Allah, such as muraqabah and istiqomah. This show that the element of hope, or in Arabic we say rahmah, is always much stronger in encouraging good behavior than the encouraging of an attitude of fear toward the threat of or a sanction from Allah. This is, I think, this is a good finding in managing individual organizational behavior, that the encouraging that comes from giving hope is much is much stronger in influencing behavior than organizational sanctions. I think that's what we can say today for our research. Hopefully, this can be useful for researchers who will study more deeply the relation of religiosity in the workplace. They are written to Professor Pina. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, Sharifuddin. Yeah, we will now invite the technical committee to take a picture with Sharifuddin's certificate, and then we'll move to questions.
Thank you, Swinburne and Professor Bina. So I will share your certificate. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so please let me know if you see your certificate. Good, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so
It is my name. Yes.
okay.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I will count to 3 and take screenshot. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, I will stop sharing and I will check if I've taken it. So give me a moment. Yep. Okay, we can proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so thank you very much for your presentation, Sharifuddin. And
Yeah.
I welcome the audience to ask questions or provide feedback for Sharifuddin or to refine his research further.
I think my background is very beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
your background is
Yes.
like the Parliament of
What's
Kuching.
actually the building is?
It's the Parliament, it's the Dewan Undang.
Oh, it's very
of Sarawak.
wonderful.
The Parliament of
Wonderful.
Sarawak, yes.
Very, very beautiful, I think.
Yeah, it is a beautiful
Yes, yeah.
building.
It is
Yes,
like a tent, like Arabic tents. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor Bina. Yes.
That's okay. Yeah, I have a question for you. I mean, others can ask as well. So thank you for your research on measuring the Islamic religiosity.
Yes.
And the scale at the workplace. So I wanted to know, like I don't know whether you have completed your study yet or you're still in the process of doing this study. So what are some of the implications for your study in your own country? I mean, in Indonesia, what are some of the implications for policymakers or for any other implications emerging from your study?
Yes. Thank you. Well, thank you, Professor Pina. Actually, this research comes from my PhD research. Yes, from PhD research, I have to writing. One of them is my writing. Yes, this writing I think is very important because my purpose actually in our university, because we are studying in the Islamic University, IAI and Alauddin, Makassar. Yes, they have purpose to integrate the Islamic perspective in the business. So it's very important how to measure Islamic impact in the individual behavior in the business, like honesty, behavior, performance motivation. Now the question is how to measure the Islamic religiosity when we don't have instrument to calculate it or to the flow of the research, the flow of the questionnaire, so we can measure the Islamic religiosity variable actually. So that the problems make me think we have to make an instrument scale, because my partner or my friend want to research about Islamic religiosity, but they don't have the scale. So I think it is very important to add the research. I think that's my view, Professor Bina. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I hope your scale is, is going to be used.
Actually, it's come from one professor from UTM. Yes, I developed him from the research, namely Professor Mohammadin. Then I had to communicate with him. So they give me scale more detail, and I develop him from that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Are there
Yes.
any other questions for Sharifuddin, Dr. Sharifuddin? Yeah, please do feel free to either unmute and speak, or you can type in the chat box. I don't see any questions. So what we will do is that I will provide opportunity for the audience to ask questions for any of the speakers, because I think, like, for example, Dr. Misna Ariani, we didn't have a lot of time with her. She presented her presentation very quickly. So is there anything that you want to add, Dr. Misna, regarding your research? And if there are any questions, if there's anything you want to add further about your study, and also if there are any questions for you, then I'd like to invite the audience to ask questions. Sorry, I think I was muted. Sorry. I was just saying that, we didn't have a lot of time with you. So is there anything you want to add about your paper, Dr. Misna? Is there anything that you would like to add about your paper, which is the determinants of job satisfaction? I mean, you can just speak. You don't have to share slides. If there's any information you'd like to add, and then we will let the audience ask some questions to you, because I think we didn't have a lot of time with you.
Yes. Thank you, Prof. Bina, for the time. My research found what the environment is significant, because the communication between among employer is very effective. It's very effective because indicator of the brand name communication play a role in the implementation of work and in accordance with standard operating procedure. And all employer understand about their tasks and their job. Because it is able to improve employer work culture, so that employer job satisfaction is supported by the orientation of the individual and also the orientation of the team. The aggressiveness of employer at work is able to create stability in the organization, and to increase employer in the organization, to increase employee retention and reduce the possibility of turnover. The company providing satisfactory working condition is essential, and manager must develop effective commitment among employees. As a result, when an employer is satisfied with his job, the level of commitment to the organization will be increased. Like this, Mr. Robin.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that has providing a good information regarding your research. So I now ask the audience if they have any questions for Dr. Misna, and then we will move to ask questions of any of the speakers. I will invite the audience to ask questions to any of the speakers as well. And maybe after that, maybe we could take a picture when we finish the session. Yeah. Does anybody have questions for any of the 5 speakers?
Professor Bina,
yes.
I don't have a question to the speaker, but I want to ask you, the certificate is giving to our email ourselves or giving through our meeting today?
Oh, yeah. can the technical committee, I think it will be emailed, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe can the technical person please clarify on how the participants could receive their certificates for today?
Yes, so we will email you. We will email you, and I will also leave the Google Drive link of the certificates to all the presenters and the chair of this session today. So I will leave this in the chat right now.
Okay.
And thank you.
And thank you very much. It is possible through our email. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Also, to Professor Pina, I would also have to take a picture of you with your certificate.
All right. Also, we can have that taken then now before
right.
we move to discussions. Okay, thank you.
All right, sure. So we'll take it now, yeah. Okay, so I will send the Google Drive link first, along with the survey link. Okay, so all right, so I will share your certificate now. Okay, so Professor Pina, let me know if you could see your certificate.
Yes. Yes.
So all the details are correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I will take a screenshot in the count of three. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So I will check if it's taken. So please give me a moment. Yep. Oh, good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's just move because we still have a little bit more time. And, it's not that I want to prolong, this whole session, but I just want to give enough opportunity for all of the presenters to, explain anything that they think, they have missed out from their presentation, and also to the audience to ask questions to any of the presenters, because I think feedback can really help improve research. Actually, I have a question to Dr. Misna. Yeah, thank you. So among all the determinants of job satisfaction that you have explained to us, which do you think is the most important factor that is satisfying to an employee? What is the most important aspect or determinant that from your research, which is the most important? I was just curious.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Bina. On the determinant of job satisfaction, more important that is organizational commitment, especially commitment effective, because employer must have apa ya dalam bahasa Inggrisnya, aduh. Because the employer have
it's okay if you want to use Indonesian word, that's okay.
In bahasa maybe.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. In bahasa ya, because commitment effective sangat penting bagi perusahaan karena bisa membuat perusahaan itu menjadi kuat dengan membawa identitas bagi perusahaan tersebut. Nah, karyawan harus mempunyai komitmen efektif tersebut. Demikian, Prof. Dina.
Okay, I think you said it's the organizational commitment to the employee. That's the most important. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So, I'm just asking everybody, if there's anything they want to add about their study, or if there's any questions for any of the speakers, and they can unmute and ask. I'm just going to leave a minute. Yeah. Okay, it appears that there are no questions. So in this case, I think, we have about, 10 or 15 minutes more, but I think I'd like to call the session to a close. I know that we was asked to complete, utilizing the session fully, and I have tried my best to give opportunity to all the speakers and also, to the audience to ask appropriate questions. So if there are no other questions or comments or feedback, then I'd like to thank all the presenters today for their presentations, for the care and for their research commitment. And I really do wish all of you the very best. And I think coming to this conference, having this discourse, the dialogue will further enlighten you and motivate you in your research, as well as, bring out outputs in terms of publications, etc. So all the very best to the presenters and those of you who are doing their PhDs, I wish you all the very best. And for those who are completing research projects as well, I wish you all the best and hope, very good publications will emerge from your research. With that, I would like to end this session and technical committee.
Excuse me, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, excuse me, Prof. Bina. I have a bit question
Sure.
to steering committee about our manuscript, whether our manuscript will be published as a journal or proceeding, because we don't receive the information about the whether the published in journal or proceeding.
Okay, I think I will leave it with the technical committee. I mean, I'm a member of the organizing committee, and
Yes,
if I'm
sir.
not mistaken, I think it's special. Some papers will be selected, and others will also be. All the papers will be in the proceeding. But I'd let the technical person answer this question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Bina.
At this moment, I'm quite unsure of that. So I think it would be better if you ask this question in the main hall, where the organizing chair of this entire conference will be there. So I
Yeah.
apologize that,
Sorry, sir, your voice not clear.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that, you can email the organizing chair, Dr. Jeffrey. But I believe that in the beginning, in the brochure, it was mentioned. So
Proceeding.
I did see, yes, all the papers will be in the proceedings. And then selected papers will be, people will be invited to submit to the journal, and that will be extended, right? Because journals often have extended papers. The word count could be a lot more. So I think paper presenters will be invited to, further work on their papers and present to the journal. I think the organizers will contact all the participants regarding that. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Bina.
Yeah, you're welcome. So are there any questions or comments or feedback? If not,
I think it's enough.
thank you again.
Professor Bina.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
very much.
yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank
Pak
you,
Sarudin,
everybody.
kita ketemu di Makassar, Pak Sarudin.
Ya, ditunggu.
Minta nomor emailnya atau HP-nya. Saya mau ke sana.
Boleh. Yeah. Thank you.
Diane,
Professor,
Alvin,
Professor?
everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank
Then
you,
we could take a
Professor.
picture of everybody, all
Yes.
of us.
Yeah, I'm happy to stay
Okay.
on.
I think it's a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
if that's the
Hi.
case, I will take the picture for you all.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Right, so I will count 3 to have picture taken. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me check if I've taken it. Yep. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice weekend and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ini caranya juga tidak kelihatan ya. Bye-bye. Enjoy your day.
Bye. Thank you.
Ini supaya